Right. So sleep is so vital to general wellness, that we know, of course, and many do not understand the dangers of not having good sleep. Reason is we are escalating the health condition referred to as sleep disorders.
Exactly. And to help us better understanding this condition, which is sleep disorders, is a health professional who shares the grand vision of creating a healthier world by strengthening the health of individuals, families, and organizations through innovative and technologically driven wellness services which aid disease reversal. Anytime I hear about disease reversal, I am overjoyed because it's talking to me about prevention, which is always better than cure, John.
Yeah, of course. So please join us to welcome the CEO and Principal Consultant in Media Ideas, Lifestyle and Wellness Center, Yonda Agbeniga. I am so glad we're talking about sleep today. You are welcome to the program.
I need this conversation, I believe, much more than anybody here today, against the background of an experience I had a few days ago. I shared it with you, JS.
Yes, you did.
And I haven't been the same since then. All right, so I am very glad that you could join us today on the show. Yep.
Right, so we will dive into it. Sleep disorders. I mean, we take it for granted. You know? We all pay lip service to it. Oh, I can't sleep. What really is? What do we mean when we say we have sleep disorder?
Okay, for the average adult, there's a specific duration you're supposed to sleep. It's supposed to be between 7 to 9 hours, and so we put the average at 8. Okay, so a sleep disorder is when you are unable to sustain that sleep for those hours. You'll have periods of being awake and periods of breaking sleep, or completely not being able to fall asleep easily. So we have quite a lot of people who fall into that category, and a lot of things can predispose people to that. First of all, medication. Some may have a health condition and then they're treating it and they're on maybe stimulants, cortisol, and maybe adrenaline.
We'll even come to that.
For example,
yes.
Tonight, between 10 o'clock last night when I went to bed and this morning, 5:30, I think I got up like 3-4 times.
Oh yeah, so quite a lot of things predispose people to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I have I have a problem. Okay.
No, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
We'll decide if you have a problem or not.
All right. So let's get to know what the health consequences of sleep disorders are.
Right. So when there are health conditions ongoing, just like when the COVID was ongoing, and people that had comorbidities, that's ongoing conditions, were more susceptible to shutting down. Like I always say, I don't want to use the word die. We are more susceptible to shutting down during the conditions. So that's how this whole sleep disorder thing is. If there are existing comorbidities, they can strengthen or make it more pronounced. So things like diabetes, if you have a diabetic person, he's going to have excessive urination and then he'll wake up in the night to go and pee. The same thing for people that have prostate problems. That's prostate adenoma. Adenoma is a tumor, but it is a swelling, and a tumor is a cancer. It's the swelling that blocks the tube, the urinary tube, and so urine is
constricted.
In junctions, so the flow is not continuous, so they have to wake up each time the one that is close to the exit comes in, they go when the next batch comes in, and there are constrictions in different sections of the prostate, so they have to keep going as the pressure reaches the time for peeing. So you have people with that condition who would not be able to sleep. Then you have people who have just chronic insomnia, people who are on stimulants, adrenaline, drugs, and all that. People who've done chemotherapy, that's treatments for cancer, and on cancer drugs and all that. They would not easily be able to fall asleep. So if they do, they would wake up in the middle of the night. Then the major problem, which I've seen over time, is a change in, because in the wellness sphere, we talk about the biological clock. A biological clock is it's a 24-hour cycle in the body that regulates sleep and wakefulness. So it regulates, light hits your retina, which is your eye, and then whether you're closing the eye or you're opening it, the light can hit your retina. So it hits it and makes you wake up. And then when it's evening, the clock shifts to sleep. So a lot of other things that affect that biological clock can also alter the sleep pattern. And I always say that, like when you spoke about disease reversal, is that if you understand the problem, it's very easy for you to proffer solution. Sure. So if you know that things like a jet lag, okay, because your body, when you move from one time zone to the other, you're already jet lagged, and that clock, it's like a quartz timer at the base of the brain that regulates that 24-hour cycle. So when you move from one time zone to another, that clock is trying to reset. So it's still afternoon, there's still sunlight, and the rays are hitting your eyes, and you want to sleep, and your body saying, look, I'm overworked, my 24-hour cycle. Okay. So when you know those are the issues, you know how to regulate it. If you know it's diabetes, you know how to regulate it. If you know it is medications, then you remove it. If you know...
so we're back to know you.
Yeah, that's it.
Know you, understand you.
Yeah, which, you know, kind of takes me to the next question, because you see, a sufferer is likely to be the last person to... A sufferer of sleep disorder is likely to be the last person to know that he or she has some kind of disorder. And when you talk about disorder, even sleep apnea, you know, snoring in a funny manner, or sleepwalking, or doing all kinds of funny things while you're supposed to be sleeping peacefully,
so
the sufferer is likely to be the last person to know. So why? How? Okay. How do we help?
Like I said earlier, because it's a general term, sleep disorders, there are many branches under it. Okay. So if it is a primary condition, or a secondary sleep disorder, secondary are condition induced. Primary is just the default program, like those who have narcolepsy. They can't stay awake, like they are always dozing and all. If it's a secondary condition, you just take off the inhibitions. But if it is a primary condition in which you're sleepwalking and all that, sometimes the electrical wiring in the brain sometimes needs to be might have gone awry. So sometimes there's some form of electrotherapy that could help with balancing that same biological clock and the circuitry of the body. It's almost a very novel space in wellness, in which you use pulsed electromagnetic fields to recharge the body, which is what we do at the center. We have pulsed electromagnetic fields. You sit under those pulsars, and they help you recharge your body. They help pass the current. You know, we're connected to gravity, and there's a Schumann frequency. There's a frequency the earth generates, which we're supposed to connect with. And that's why you have some people walking barefooted, because they're trying to ground and connect to gravity to recharge the body. So if the electrical circuitry is altered, then you need something which is beyond drugs and all that to regulate that electrical circuitry of the body.
Okay, we also hear that there are a few phrases that relate to sleep. What are they?
Phases.
Yes, different phases.
Okay, I remember that. So sorry, I might have to take you back. I remember that he said something about them not knowing.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. About not knowing about the conditions. So someone who has sleep apnea, okay, he is sleeping and he's snoring so bad because he's not aware, because his nasal passage and the passage here has been blocked by fat. So people around him are the ones who need to tell him, and most times you find out that they're either very obese, or is the sleeping position, if you're very obese, which is a lifestyle condition already, and you're sleeping at a particular area, that side is compressed, and so you have very little airway into the
Does that
body.
also contribute to narcolepsy?
No.
Okay.
No. Narcolepsy is you just fall asleep indiscriminately,
Okay.
even in
Okay.
the afternoons.
Wow.
That's because the biological clock is altered. Permit me to use the word messed up. Yeah, so it's also called the circadian clock. That's, like I said earlier, there's a timer, just like at the base of the brain, around the pineal glands where melatonin is produced, that regulates that wakefulness. So that body needs to be
So the clock
recharged.
needs to be
Yes,
reset.
that's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
I've heard a couple of people say that naps, taking naps in between, I don't know, is healthy.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay.
So when we talk about sleep and sleep disorders, good sleep, sufficient sleep, and all of it, please help me situate that. Is it a comfortable sleep on your bed, or will that be enough, or any other one?
Right. So basically, it's important to have that as an adult, that 8-hour stretch. Now, sometimes it's practically impossible in
Especially
our
where we are.
vicinity, Lagos, Nigeria. It's sometimes very impossible. But what we should always do is we should ensure that after. Let me explain what we're doing when we don't have that 8-hour sleep. Okay, so you can take your naps. Just ensure that you have that 8 hours. Okay, what we're doing is we call it running on an adrenaline high. You are like running on steroids. You don't sleep. Like maybe days that let me use myself as an example. Maybe I have a training or a presentation, I have to see clients and all that, and everything is back to back. So what powers me is a dose of adrenaline in my body, and then when the whole events are over, and then I just like almost shut down. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. We're on steroids. If we don't get that 8-hour sleep, if we don't get those naps in between, we're on steroids. And adrenaline is a flight or flee hormone. It's not something that is supposed to be in your body perpetually. You see a lion, you have a bout of adrenaline, and then you jump and run off. That's not supposed to be in your body continuously. So if you're having sleep disorders and you're not sleeping, you're on a cortisol high, you are just running and you are damaging the body, and a lot of things can come up from that. So you could have all sorts of diseases, sleep deprivation, you could have nerve problems, you could have a lot of problems.
It looks like a whole myriad of issues, with sleep. And sleep itself, on the face of it, is such an ordinary, normal thing. Talk about teeth grinding, talk about sleepwalking. I used to have a schoolmate who used to sleepwalk, and we'll just leave him. He'll sit up in bed and have a discussion with whoever, and then just go back. So there's so much happening. Now, what I even want to know is that I want you to tell us a bit about dreams. Some people dream, like if I shut my eyes here now, I'll dream. Others don't dream. What's the relativity of being, having dreams and not having? Is it a state of mind or what?
Right. So the scientific explanation is what I'll delve into, especially because of my background in biochemistry. So you know that chemicals, hormones, enzymes have a lot of interplay on our body. And so there's a kind of sleep called the rapid eye movement sleep, where you're sleeping and your eyes are darting. So if you do not have very good rest, it could impact on your dreams. Another thing that could impact on your dream is and then in wellness, there's the mind-body connection, which you find it very hard to put a finger on in the medical schools. So the mind-body connection is how you program your mind to sleep is what you get in your dreams. So it's an interplay of all the things that you have done, the things you have thought about, the things you have programmed into your mind all day. And that's why you need to be very careful about the things you put into your mind. The things you need to guard your heart. You need to watch what comes in. You need to watch what you are looking at, because those things play on the subconscious, and that is what will play out on your mind. So when you're sleeping, the mind part of the body, which is the meta phase, is still active and it's running around. So you need to program that. You can program it to an extent by guarding and watching and being careful about what you put into your brain, which is connected to that meta phase also.
Okay. So as we get ready to, conclude this conversation, when you realize that you have issues with sleep, what should you do? A couple of people just talk to friends and they say, go get this, go get that. I don't want to mention names now. What really, is the solution to this?
So there are many things that could be done. First of all, I would always say have a evaluation of yourself. You need to find out what exactly is triggering your lack of sleep. If it is a drug, it's simple, take it out. If it's bad lifestyle, you are feeding too much. One other thing I should say is... You
mean a lot of food can make me
not sleep well? Yes, I was going to say that there's a normal mindset of how we should eat, but I'll just quickly point it out that in the mornings, when your body is in the detoxification phase, when you wake up in the morning, you want to pee, you want to go to the toilet, you want to do all that, the first thing you do is rush to the toilet from your bed. That's when your body is in a rapid detoxification phase, pushing out, because it worked overnight. That's when you should turbocharge that detox phase. So that's when you should have in a lot of fluid, your green juices, your oats and cereals, and like the Nigerian pap and stuff. That's when you should have fluid pushing your detoxification. By afternoon, your body is in the assimilation phase. That's when you should do your loading. Just eat, have fun, load yourself. By 7, your body is beginning to enter the rejuvenate phase. And this concept is very contrary to what is prevailing. Okay. At that rejuvenation phase, that's when you have a cut on your hand, it's about to heal up. So when you wake up the next morning, you find that there is a black fibrin covering on it. So that's when your body is rejuvenating. And so you need to support that rejuvenation phase. That's not when you take your heavy meals. If you take your 6 wraps of Eba at that time, you are not going to sleep very well, because your body will shift from that rejuvenation phase to digestion. And it will start to process. Confusion, you have toxic overload, you have everything. It wants to detoxify, but it wants to repair. No, but he has to digest, confusion. And so that's when
I'm shaking my head.
Very important.
Yes, I'm shaking my head because you're talking about a normal situation where people have 3 square meals and they have the time. When you're on the run, people get out of their homes in town here for 4 a.m., and they are busy almost all through until they get back home again, like 10, 11.
That fuels sleep disorder, because you're going to load yourself.
So is it possible, this is Lagos,
to have good sleep?
Is it possible to live in Lagos without sleep disorder?
That's very hard.
It's very difficult.
Honestly, it is.
So hard. Lifestyle. One, just a final thought from you, to people who are looking for solutions, what can we do? We have come to that point where we have said it's almost impossible, to have good sleep.
No, I don't think it's impossible. And
it's difficult.
I don't think it's impossible not to have good sleep. But I'll give an example. So I have someone very close to me who goes, I can't sleep, Yonda, I can't sleep. So one day she gets on the cycler.
Okay.
And she cycles. And cycles and cycles and cycles, and then hits the bed.
And she
of course she slept.
Wow.
And other people tell you, please just cream your leg, your soul with oil, coconut oil, olive oil at night, and it helps you to sleep well. So, why I was laughing is that there are different things that work for different people, especially in the wellness phase or the complementary medicine space. You can't use a one-size-fits-all, and that's how I would like to round off. So you don't just jump on sedatives. Okay. We would never, ever push you to jump on sedatives, because what it does is it shuts down. And shuts down certain pathways and forces you to sleep. So if you have the lifestyle thing, light therapy, you should talk to the professionals.
And then
of course you'll see a professional who will guide you.
We need to shut down
We need to
now.
shut down right now.
There's
So
so
that we
much,
can sleep.
There's so much, so much to talk about
Yeah.
sleep disorders, but
Yes.
we have to go now.
Yes.
And honestly, I hope you'll be able to come around again, and let's take this conversation to the next level.
We will.
Yes.
We will. Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you
It's a
very
pleasure.
much. I'll have a conversation with you after this show. Please don't go too far. All right. So different strokes for different people, they say. Now, do you sleep better in the day or at night? I believe you have your answers from the guest experience
today,
on the show this morning. Thank you once again, Ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
like I said, in a
pleasure.
city like Lagos that never sleeps, you wonder if the inhabitants ever sleep enough. You've been of great help to us. Thank you so much. And we shall go on with the rest of the program. I'll ask you to stay with us. This is Today with John and Helen, PlusTvAfrica.